All right, today we're going to look at a Brown & Sharpe 1224 dialer size. This is a automatic grinder that has a couple of features different than a standard Micromaster. Most obvious is this big box on the side here and this display on the top. Now, this machine is currently wired for 440 volts and it's also set up with a cycle in it. Basically, you have to put in certain information into this thumb switch here. That's why they call a machine a dialer size. You put in your stock removal, you put in a stock removal plus safety, you put in a retract tube position, and you put in a point where you go from your coarse feed to your fine feed. So this gives you a coarse feed and a fine feed, and it also gives you a wheel truing with compensation. So if you know after how many pieces your wheel starts to break down and your part starts to grow, you can adjust it here, and after so many pieces you regrind your wheel. So this is obviously a production grinder. So right now I have it set up where it's already ground one piece and it's backed up to the value in the window there, which is 100 thousandths. So you see the light blinking. I'm all set up. I'm in the automatic mode. We're going to start the cycle, and we wrap it down to a safety position of 12 thousandths above final size. Now, final size is going to be 0 in this case. You could touch off your workpiece and decide you need to take 10 thousandths off, which is what we're doing here. And when we get down to 0, the cycle will be over. You can also come down on your workpiece and touch it off and physically measure it and get the actual measurement of the part, actual height of your parts, and then dial that information into the machine and actually put the actual print final size. But just for this video, so here we're doing a surface grind. Each time we go back and forth, we're feeding down 1,000ths just for this video. Obviously that's a lot. When we get to 1,000ths, we're going to switch to the tenths, and we're going to start feeding down 1/10 at a time. So we're at 2,000ths now before final size, which will be 0. Now we're at 1,000ths before final size. We're going to switch to the fine feed, the changeover point. We're going to start feeding in tenths. Now we're at 9/10ths before final size. So it's a great machine if you have a lot of parts and you don't want to stand there and watch it. It's got a coolant system. It's a heavy, robust grinder. It's got a 14-inch diameter grinding wheel on there, and it's really amazing. Over here is your nutrifier. You turn that on, put the chuck on. It has a demagnet cycle and also a variable hold cycle. It's a Walker chuck, fine pole, fine division chuck. So now we're coming down to 1/10. And as we do that, we get certain indicator lights. Now we're into the spark out mode. You set there how many empty passes back and forth you want it to make. And when it's all done with the spark out, it's going to park itself and go back up to your 100 thousandths home position or whatever, your safety. So all you'd have to do now is load a bunch of new parts and run the cycle again. And that's how it works. You also have a slot grinding mode. I can put that over to slot grinding. That's going to take the column out of it. We'll start this up. Again, we wrap it down to 12 thousandths, and now we're feeding 1,000ths each pass. Down to 1,000ths, we're going to switch to our fine feed. I'm feeding now in tenths. Every other. So your feed rates, as far as your down feed goes, are dialed in here, right side and left side. And then when you get into the fine feed, it's only going to feed on one side, not both. And here you would program in your spark outs. If your part was oversized or undersized, you have wheel offsets that you can dial in, and you'll see that up on the monitor. So if you were too big, you can go down another 1/10. If you're too small, you can come up. So it's really amazing machine. All right, thank you very much.